Hey guys, what do we got going on today in the wood shop? I am going to make a birdhouse that's going to look like an outhouse. I've seen these online, they go for up to $50. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is spray these brass hinges down, make them a satin black. This is all they had at Ace Hardware, so I just picked them up and thought I'll spray them real quick. So let me get done with that, and then we'll get to the building process. I'm going to be building this out of some old barnwood that I got out of Durand, Michigan. And this barn was old. This wood's probably 150 years old. But what I want to show you is, look at the outside of this barnwood. I want to show you how much oak was in abundance back then. This is all oak. I resawed this on my bandsaw. Look at that. That is cool. Now, however, you can make this out of pine or whatever you want. I'm just having to make it out of this barnwood because I think it looks cool. Alright, first thing I'm going to want to do is establish the depth of my bird feeder. So I'm going to take this base and I'm going to cut it at 4.5 inches. Another great option of wood for this would be pallet wood, okay? Alright, let's get started on cutting this at 4.5 inches. Okay, for my front and back panel, I think I'm going to rip it down to 6 inches. I think that'll be wide enough. And I'm going to put the hinges on here and I'm going to put a little door on there for a clean out. So right now I'm going to set the table saw up, rip this piece down to 6 inches. That will give me my front and the back. Okay, now that we got the base and the front and back determined, we have to figure out the width. So with the 4.5 foot or 4.5 inch base, I'm going to go with 3 inch on the side. So I'm going to go back over to the saw and I'm going to rip this piece over here down to 3 inches. You don't have to watch me do that. I'll be back in a minute. Now let's make the front and back. We'll do a peaked roof on it like that, okay? Let's make it 8 foot high to the top of the peak. 8 foot. I keep thinking feet. Okay, inches. 8 inches high to the top of the peak. Let's go over to radial arm. We'll give that a cut. Alright, looking at this, I think I might go more with a slanted roof like this instead of the peak roof. It'll give me more room for my door and the birdhouse hole and all that good stuff. So let me figure out what I'm going to cut that angle at and we'll get back with you. So with the chop saw, I'm going to set it at 22.5. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's a standard setting for these saws, so it clicks right in. So let's do the 22.5. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure from here up to the top, which I already know is 8 inches because that's what I cut it off at. So I'm going to put a mark here at 8 inches, and I'm going to bring my 22.5 down like this. Now you could miter the tops of these to make everything fit perfect, but again, this is a birdhouse. It's supposed to be a fun project, so let's not get too complicated, if you will. Okay, now my door for cleaning, I think I'm going to make it 3 inches by 6 inches. That'll give us plenty of room to open it up, clean it out, put a little hole in it for the birds to enter. So I have this piece here left, it's 4 inches, so I'm going to rip this down to 3 inches by 6 inches, and then we'll cut our door in this. Okay, there's our door, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to trace the outside of this with my pencil, alright? I'm going to take it over to the bandsaw and cut it. And I'm going to cut a little bit on the outside edge of my line so I make sure that door will fit in there and open and close. And I'm going to leave a little bit of slacky room in there, okay? That sounds like a deal. Okay, remember when you're cutting, leave the line showing, okay? Okay, let's establish what size hole we need. That looks like to be about 1 3/8. So we'll see what we got close to that for a drill size. Let's head back in. Okay, I got a 1 1/2 drill. So I measured down from here to here, 1 1/4. You can see my little mark there. I'm going to put this over on the drill press and drill that hole. Alright, you guys can start to see it's taking place. We got the door. We got our 2 sides here. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sander. I got some 80 grit on. I'm just going to hit all these edges a little bit just to break them down, rough them up a little bit so they're not so squared off. Alright? Okay, now we got this all set here. This is 8 inches high. As our roof comes down, I'm going to want to cut this piece at 6 1/2 inches. I'm not going to put no fancy angles on this. I'm just going to follow this peak down, and at the lowest point is 6 1/2 inches. So that's where I'm going to take it over to radial arm and cut that off at. Okay, I cut it. It looks good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble this on the bench before I attach the roof or the bottom to it. Okay. Okay, I'm assembling the door too before I put everything together because you won't have nothing to put pressure on unless you pack up stuff behind it. So it's just easier to do it like this. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the screws in it. Just like that, alright? There, now you got a cleaning hole. See that? Now we're going to put a little handle on here too. Let me figure that one out real quick so the door just don't open up. Okay, I got this little thin strip left from ripping everything. I think I'm just going to cut maybe 1 1/2 of it off. I'm going to drill a hole in it, put another screw in it, and that will be the latch to open it and close it. Okay, to hold my latch down, I just have this little drywall screw here. So I'm going to put that in there, and then I'm just going to take a Sharpie, black Sharpie, and paint that with it. Let's get our latch down. There we go. See how that works? Now when you just close it like that, and it's going to stay closed like that forever. Now that looks pretty cool. Now these are fun projects to do. You just use your imagination. When you start putting it together, you can trim it out any way you want also. Okay, I'm going to get ready to start assembling this on the bench. But first I'm going to go in and eat some lunch. Okay, we're going to start assembling this now. And I put my side piece, oh, let me turn this so you can see a little better. Okay. Side piece, I'm going to bring that angle right here up to the back edge of the top. That's how I'm going to put it together. And I'm going to use 1 1/4 brads. That's all I got. I should use something smaller, 1 inch, but I don't have them. So I'm going to use Tight Bond 80. I'm just going to run a little bit in there. I don't want a whole lot. I don't want it oozing out on the sides. Just a little bead, about like that. I'm going to turn it sideways. It'll be easier for me to nail. Just like that. Okay. And then we're going to put our brads in there. You don't need a whole lot because we got the glue on there too. So I'm going to put 3 in each side. Just like that. That worked good. Okay, now I'm going to put this side on. I'm going to do it the same way. Okay, we got sides on. It's looking pretty cool. Now we're going to do the back, okay? Same way. Just going to lay that on there. I'm going to glue it, and I'm going to put the brads, maybe 3 on each side. I want to show you something. I pre-drilled these holes before I assembled it, okay? That's going to be the holes to hold it onto a tree or whatever you want to put the screws through. All right. How's that? Pretty cool so far, okay? See if it works. Clean out. Open the door. Oh, yeah. Hello there. Hi, little birdies. All right, let's shut it. All right, next thing, we're going to probably put the bottom on there, okay? I might put a half moon up here with the little marker that I got. Draw a half moon. It'll look more like an outhouse. How's that? Good. Alright, now for our base. If you remember, it was 4.5 inches in length, in the depth of it. And I think I want to go a ½ inch on each side of this, which was 6 inches. Correct? 6 inches. So I'm going to cut the base off at 7 inches. That'll leave a ½ inch on each side. Okay, I got it cut. I did a little bit of sanding with the 80 grit paper again, just around the edges and everything. Now I'm going to lay it down on its back, like this. And I'm going to hang it over the side, kind of like this. And I'm going to use my nail gun to put some brads in the bottom of it. Like that. Now we got to work on the top, okay? Let's see what we're going to do with that. I'd like it to hang over a little bit and a little over the back. Well, not over the back so much, because if you put it to a tree and you let it hang over, it's going to sit like that. We don't want that. So we'll keep the back even. Alright, I've got this piece. It's 4.5 inches. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to cut that the same, 7 inches. And then I'm going to hit it with the sander, and we'll attach that to the top. Alright, we got it cut 7 inches. I did a light sanding on it. I don't know what they used to put on there for paint. If you guys know, leave it in the comments. Like I said, it's barnwood. It's kind of chalky. It's pretty cool. Maybe they used to use like milk. I don't know, milk paint or something, seems like I heard. Alright, I'm going to put some glue on here. Just like that, a little bit, not too much, okay? I'll line my top up with the back, about a ½ inch on each side. Doesn't have to be perfect. Again, it's a rustic project, fun stuff. How's that? I think that's pretty cool looking little birdhouse, eh? And like I said, they're selling these things for almost 50 bucks. But, hey, it looks cool. Now you can add any kind of trim work you want on there, or stack some logs up here. Make this, you can even make this wider and use sticks like this. You can put them on the side like that. Stack some logs. It looks pretty cool. Alright, I'm going to hang this somewhere and we'll check it out. Alright guys, there you have it. I think it looks pretty cool. I know a bird's going to make a home in there. Well, I hope you guys build and hope you have fun. If you like this, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up button. Alright guys, have a great day.